like to share maybe that we can share this.
All right, this begins the Bonney Lake Arts Commission meeting for November 16th, 6:03. Roll call. Glory Cancro is here. Stephanie French?
Here.
Molly Soro Williams? Absent. Has anyone heard from her? I haven't heard her. Lori Sully? Absent. Excused or not excused? I don't know. We didn't hear from Lori either? Okay.
I've heard nothing from anybody who's not here.
Okay. Melissa Dickman? Here. Josh Gonzalez? Absent. Rodrigo Yanez? Absent. Caitlin Wolford?
Here.
And Caitlin Turner?
Here.
Jennifer? Right. Right. Down to approval of minutes. Get a copy. Anybody like to? Minutes. All in favor? Minutes for August 2022 are approved. But is there any correspondence?
I've received nothing.
General, I hear from Julie Kissick, Lake Taps Living magazine, on a regular basis. She's always seeking content. So in the past, I give her content for the rotating gallery wall, and she'll do a whole colored feature article for us. So Melissa, if you want to take over that wall with the students, definitely contact her.
Totally put something up.
Yeah.
But we're kind of like just getting started, for the year. But they'll have like some good stuff.
Do you see her emails in the inbox?
Mm-mm. Do you mind forwarding like one of her emails or
Yeah.
email address to me?
I thought she was sending it to everybody, but she must just be sending it to me. But she has like a deadline. I think it's the 7th of every month.
Oh, okay.
And then she'll write up, like I said, a full page article or a half page, featuring whatever artists, and then a few colored photos from them. So it's a really great way to get people's names out there if parents approve of the minors' art being out there. So she's great. She's really motivated. Julie Kissick.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind just forwarding that on to me, or her email or whatever.
Yeah, and she loves featuring residents. That's their whole thing. The magazine has a resident on every cover. So if your students are in the area and their family wants to be featured, it's really cool.
Awesome. Maybe Caitlin wants to.
Yeah, Caitlin should definitely be on the cover of it, that magazine. Any citizen comments?
Nope. All these people.
Oh, okay. All right, moving on to old and continuing business. Stephanie, do you want to talk about the utility box design and cost that you've looking at?
Sure. Yeah, I went actually and did some research through the old minutes, and just to see, because I do have a vague recollection of deciding to, as an arts commission, to pay for one utility box vinyl wrap. And so rather than continuing to wait for the bigger project to unfold, I would like to go ahead and move that forward. And I reached out to Josh to see if he thinks that that's possible to get that. I don't know if we'll get it done by the end of this calendar year, but he definitely is interested in moving that one forward. So I think we just need to go back to the original art concept, refine it, get it to where it needs to be, and then, yeah.
In this budget, we have money.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trying, yeah, and so it was approved for
17 to 1800.
for one box, but we don't necessarily have. Did we have the location approved? We had 2 locations approved.
I'll have to look through more of
I
it.
think there's actually 7 different boxes in the city that you can rent that are city boxes.
We don't need any extra approval for those. Oh, great.
I think that being said, though, so Josh isn't here to be able to update on the status of that. He did tell me that he's not had a chance to move anything beyond where we were at as of last month. So
Did he say what he needed?
I think he has what he needs at this point. I think what needs to happen now is the kind of the public rollout. So like an online form, the call to sponsors and the call for artists. So I think that's going to require some collaboration with the city.
Approve paying for this before we have the finalized, put in an order with this company, even if we don't have the design finalized yet. Does that make sense? We can get it in before the end of the year.
I think what Stephanie's saying is that it was approved in 2019.
Right, but actually get the funds to them and be like, this is our order. Can you give us a receipt? And then finalize details with them. Does that make sense at all, what I'm saying?
So basically, instead of an estimate, actually getting
We are purchasing this vinyl wrap. We're not 100% decided on the design yet. Yeah.
So services have to be rendered during the year
Okay.
for the budget for payment.
So by the
So it would have to be completed by December 31st.
okay, fine.
But I do know that there has been budget money also set aside for professional services for next year that is ready for the vinyl wraps too.
Maybe get one in this year and then one or several.
We've been talking through this. We talked through this back in the spring, and Josh just hasn't been able to get the cooperation I think that he needed from the city to be able to actually implement it, because he had the flyers written up and everything. So without him here speaking for himself, I don't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
So I feel like these can all be conversations. More than welcome to call him and talk to him yourself. Find out where things are at with him, what he needs to make the next step. That's really helpful for moving things along with the Arts Commission when we can have conversations outside of the meeting too, because it's aren't all here all the time. So, but the money, I think that's really helpful, Stephanie, that the money, a reminder that it has been approved for at least one, starting with one. So, although that won't
follow up with Josh.
probably cover the whole.
So I'll continue to follow up
Okay.
with Josh to move it
you.
forward.
Any other comments on the?
So my only concern would be looking at the calendar, the amount of time before the end of the year to be able to get a design in, whether it's even from the high school or the commission to vote.
Yeah.
And have the vote and then get it printed and installed.
Yeah.
We're about 6 to 7 weeks away from the end of the year. And
In order for it to be fair, a fair call to artists, you have to give artists, it has to be a public announcement, and it has to be, I don't know, at least a couple weeks of.
I think that my idea at least was to continue working with the design that was already on the table. So the Historical Society was already developing an art piece. So we just need to go back to them and get that ball moving again. I'm not super concerned about getting it done. It would be nice to be able to spend this year's budget money But I'm more concerned about just moving this ball forward than I am about doing it by December 31st. It would be nice if we could, but I agree. I don't think it's a realistic goal.
I think we could just do the one in collaboration with the Historical Society that's ready to go.
It's
And then that
not
one
ready to
can,
go.
it's not, but it can also serve
only in
maybe
sketch
as a,
Okay.
example for what we're looking for art moving forward too.
My only hesitation with that is that whatever we start with, I would really think it is an important precedence. And part of the model that I've seen other cities, or the primary model that I've seen other cities use is that they're sponsoring an artist is getting paid. And unfortunately, the original idea with the Arts Commission with the 2 electrical boxes was that arts commissioners would be the one designing them, and I felt like that wasn't congruent with our purpose of facilitating actually paying local artists and supporting local artists to be able to design them. So I think as long as we made sure that that design was that we integrated an artist and we're actually paying and supporting a local artist to help design it. I feel like that was important because it sets the precedence for the next ones.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
Lori, that we should have something set. And I thought, like, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was part of Josh's write-up when he shared it, that it was like, you got this set amount of money for your design.
Yeah.
Can't remember how much, like $200 or whatever it was.
Something comparable to other cities, yeah.
That was kind of, similar to what other cities around us are doing.
Mhm.
So I think that's great going forward. I also think it's okay for an artist to say, I'm donating my design. And if we chose to use it without paying them, if they chose to donate
Absolutely.
it, that's okay too.
Um,
If you're in that situation.
Absolutely.
So you're
Yeah.
proposing that we don't do anything with the first one, that the first one be lumped with the other 6 and done with the call to artists, because we don't have enough money to pay for a rap and an artist with the money that's already been approved.
Right. Thank you for that reminder. I knew that it felt like it was a small budget. It wasn't going to cover, that 1,600 wasn't going to cover both. Yeah, I don't want more hurdles, but I guess I feel like there is money available to
If we
pay both.
had like a design or an artist in mind already, and we're coming up at the end of the year anyway, there's nothing wrong with paying them in January if we have that money set aside for January. We'll be paid in January for this. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think that would be a problem if we chose something in December and paid them in January. Would it? Like,
I think
they're still being paid.
as long as that's written, in the contract.
So with the Bonney Lake Historical Society, what's the plan?
It was a long time ago.
It was, if I recall, it was a partnership. So some of the members of the Arts Commission at the time in 2019 were also part of the Historical Society. And the one electrical box that everybody felt was really important to represent the Historical Society was the one on Sumner Buckley Highway that is there's a lot of history in that particular area. Of course, there's history everywhere. But that was agreed on that would be a box that the Historical Society could help approve the design. And at the time, we had one sketch, but we weren't opening it up as a call to artists. And that's what I'm suggesting, is that it open up to more artists to be involved with helping to represent the diverse history of the area. So that would include Indigenous representatives, or an artist who is working in partnership with an Indigenous representative. So there was nothing designed. There was a sketch by an arts commissioner that we had on the commission at the time, Beverly Bermeo, and that's as far as it went.
The design was pretty finalized, like the last time I saw it, but we don't have to go with that. But I'm pretty sure she had like all of the, like, even on like paper at this right size, like she had sketched it out. So I don't know.
It was in the design phase, and she didn't want to put the work into creating this whole painting unless it was really going to happen. So it was in the design stage, but it hadn't been. Did we approve it? I don't know. But anyways, so
One of the ideas that we kicked around at one point was using the collection of boxes to tell the history, as opposed to trying to tell the entire history on one box. So, in which case, our call to artists would be help us tell the history of the city of Bonney Lake through this artwork. You know, students could still be a part of that. It actually would be really enriching to them to do the research into the history of the city.
It's a big story. There was a lot to tell, and trying to fit it all in one box.
Worry about like people trying to represent indigenous tribes and the peoples that lived here before. Because even like that mural, sorry, I'm mixed up, over at Bonney Lake Library is getting painted over because they don't think it's like politically correct. So like I would be really concerned about putting depictions of like the history and not doing it accurately. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make me nervous?
No, I really appreciate that comment because I feel like it's inappropriate for a non-Indigenous artist to try to represent Indigenous history. So that's what I mean by.
I mean, they're part of that history too. So I think it's okay for people to try and depict it, but I don't know about in the public sphere, like, and be like, this represents Bonney Lake for everyone. Like, it's okay for kids to research the history and try to depict things. Like, I think that's okay. But then if you're like gonna speak for all of Bonney Lake and put it out in a box, I don't know. There's just a lot of ethical things to consider, I guess, there. Like, I don't know.
So if we're going to use multiple boxes to tell a story, does it make sense to add a little structure to it and say, let's tell Bonney Lake stories throughout the years, and then we call to artists who are looking at specific periods in history who are looking to tell that story. Like, we're going to put out a call to artists from this year to this year. I mean, being super stringent, but this era to this era, then moving forward through history into this era to tell the story up until current times. Or are we going to leave it very open to interpretation? Because I like structure, I'm not going to lie, and I like to accomplish and achieve something. Yeah. So I feel like we need to walk away tonight with a plan because we've been spinning on this for months. Agree. So, I mean, are we going to call to artists and put it out and say, okay, we're not going to use the sketch or whatever piece of artwork is out there, which is fine. That's fantastic. That's before I was a part of the team anyways. But if we're going to call to artists, don't you think we need to add a little direction, right? And especially if we're trying to tell a story, we don't want everyone to be depicting artwork from 1902, right? We want to make sure that it carries on throughout the years if we're going to tell Bonney Lake.
I, just from my own opinion, think that we should do a diverse call to artists and let them decide what they would like to put on the boxes, and then we would take those pieces and decide from that, and not pigeonhole ourselves like into like a very tight, like it's just going to be historical. And then if I remember correctly, the box that was down at that intersection by the fire department, they wanted to do one about like the covered wagons and the trail because that's like the historical trail there. And so it was kind of more of like a settler version anyway. So I don't know. I feel like maybe following what other cities have done where they've really like been like propose the art you want to see and having a diverse amount of art, and maybe some of that might come back and it is historically relevant and we could pull from that if we liked it, or we don't have to. Does that make sense? I just want to see some art. Like, I just want to start collecting and like, let's make that call if we can get it through the city to propose that. We're just waiting on Josh. Was that what we
Josh
determined?
I said I can't speak for him, but I thought he had a plan of using students and this being a call for artists to students. So we're kind of switching gears. We kind of keep going back to like this one box that the Historical Society wanted to represent, and like,
So when I talked to Josh last about this, and it was like in the summer, we had talked about the box over by the high school being one that the students would do. I didn't know that we were specifically asking them to do all of them. I thought that one was in particular one that we were going to try, and then they would still be able to get like a scholarship or an awarded amount too.
yes.
Or for supplies for their school or whatever. Like there would be money there too, just like with the other artists. So, I mean, we could take that or leave it, but we still have, 6 other boxes that we could put work on.
Yeah.
So there's no concern with like, let's just put that out there and put the call to artists out.
David, how much is our budget for a year?
I believe it's about $3,500 for professional services, and then $1,000 for supplies. Something just to add more feathers to the flock, so to speak. One idea you may want to think about is just setting aside one box and work with the Historical Society and say, here's the box we would like you guys to approve the design. Veterans Memorial Committee, we have a box here on Veterans Memorial Drive. We would like you guys to approve a design for this box. This box is going to be high school student eligible box. This box here would be for middle school design. And then the other 3, or however many we have left, would be the call for any artists in the area that would want to. And then that gives you kind of some structure as to who's going to be responsible for a design for each box.
When you say approve and be responsible for coming up with a design, or we would present it to them and we'd say, hey, Historical Society, look at, these are the artists we found. Do you want to help decide on one? Or they would be included in bringing in art?
It could go either way.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to ask them to help do some of the legwork and say, hey, we'd really like to get you guys involved in these boxes. We're willing to use our Arts Commission budget to get them wrapped. If you guys as a group are willing to either design yourself or reach out to an artist to design, and then that way you know you've got something that's coming from the Historical Society group that they are all on board with.
Is the Historical Society, it is functioning then? And who?
I believe so.
Because last I heard it, people were really struggling to get members. Do you know who who's the contact person now?
I'm not sure, but I could find
website.
who.
Just look on their website.
Okay.
And have it.
So if we don't want to spend our entire annual budget on vinyl wraps, so even if we did, we can only do 1 3/4 of a wrap per year. So this is a 7-year. This is a long range.
One now.
So we really just really in all practicality, we're looking at 1 box per year.
Stephanie, you're so practical. We're getting caught
What I
up
like,
in the...
what I like about the idea that David just shared is that it takes it out of a public call, which then relies on visibility, which is tough, I
Yes.
think, for us
Yes,
to
that
get
has
public
been-
visibility. We can just actually issue a call straight to the Historical Society, straight to the veterans, straight to Bonney Lake High School, straight to Mountain View Middle School, or wherever the middle schools are, and kind of bypass the whole
Why don't we start with that?
public. Start with
that, with doing those calls to those
Mhm.
groups.
which would allow us to stay, to honor that commitment that we made back in 2019 in working with the Historical Society at that time.
And Josh
And
has,
also-
I think, all the templates and all of the...
If the one
Everything
for
ready.
high school's ready, like I could give that to people tomorrow. I mean, like we could get on this right away.
They could be the first
And-
box. Yeah.
Depending on like, especially like our creative design teachers, like they could probably turn something around pretty quick for you guys.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, it's...
call to like whatever Josh has. I just need to get a copy of. Like,
Let's do it. Make it happen. All right.
How are we going to get that from Josh? Is it like in a shared drive or something?
I think it would you just contact Josh on your own this week or soon?
I can't this week. Yeah, I have, it's very personal, but my dog is like dying right now. And I almost didn't come tonight because we're like any minute now going to put him down. And then we have conferences tomorrow for both my boys. And Friday, we're trying to get my dog to Friday. So I'm not going to deal with it, but I can do anything while I'm at work that you need me to do for this. I just,
You're off work. You're off work.
Yeah,
Okay.
I came tonight because I was like, quorum, I committed to this. So
Are doing a lot, Melissa. Thank you for being here. I'm so sorry.
yeah, it's pretty rough. He's 13 and a half. So yeah, he has cancer in his spleen.
Stephanie, do you want to contact Josh this week and just have him email his stuff over to Melissa?
Yeah, just send it to me and I'll take care of it while I'm at work for sure.
Thank you. Wonderful. And I'll try to find out who's even on the Historical Society anymore.
Joanne's still involved, even if she's not technically.
She's always very passionate about it. I mean, she was. All right, moving on to bylaws. Stephanie, or you want to help us with that?
Yeah. Okay. So, do we have time to go over the bylaws? Did everybody have a chance to review the packet? No? Okay.
I mean, I have it down.
So, the main thought process is behind the revision to the bylaws is, first of all, adjusting our quorum size, which allows us to move business forward a little easier in the future, to provide a little bit of accountability to commissioners for engagement, and also to give the commission a little bit of freedom to make decisions, or at least call for meetings, should the commission feel like the chair and the co-chair aren't representing the interests of the commission. So the way that the bylaws were written before, everything went through the chair, and the commission didn't really have any ability to call a special meeting by vote of the commission or anything like that. And so some of the revisions have been taken from the parks, I believe it was the design commission bylaws, and taking some of their verbiage and transferring it over to ours. And then also a couple of things are just about making some of the language consistent. Like in some places we call ourselves a commission, and in other places the word board is used. And so just kind of cleaning up some of that. So Article 2, Section 2 is about regularly scheduled meetings. The original expectation was that they would be held at least quarterly on the fourth Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. Meeting dates and times could not be changed without a majority vote by the commission, and notification of that change to be presented to all available members. So my suggested revision there is about allowing us to cancel meetings for lack of business, provided that it's done prior to the notice of the meeting being sent out. So special meetings can be called not only by the chair, but by the vice chair or by a majority of the members of the commission. So let's see, changing the commission size back to, originally it was 5 to 9. We were changed by what was that document called? Sorry.
Resolution.
A resolution to increase the size of the commission to 11. So I'm proposing we go back to no fewer than 5. So let's see, under Article 5, Section 2, officers may serve consecutive terms and may be removed at any time by a majority vote of the commission on record. Removed officers may remain members of the commission. So this is just about the way that it was originally written, I felt like the term was basically saying it starts and stops at this time without any regard for whether there was a successor already in place. And so I feel like this just kind of opens that up a little bit for an officer to continue to serve until somebody else can be put in their place. Attendance, Article 6, says 3 consecutive unexcused absences shall form the basis for removal from the Arts Commission. Actually, I'm proposed to revise that to any commissioner who fails to attend the minimum quarterly meeting in accordance with Article 2, Section 2, without regard for excuse, may be removed from the commission at the recommendation of the commission and at the discretion of the mayor. So we actually don't have the ability to remove or appoint members. That's the mayor's responsibility, but we can make a recommendation based on a commissioner's consistent absence. So that would basically be setting an expectation that we attend 4 times a year, with lots of room for flexibility in the other months of the year. The quorum size, changing that from majority to 3 members. And then any action taken by a majority of those present, when there's a quorum present, shall be deemed as business or action taken by the commission. So that's pretty much it. Tie shall be considered a defeat of the motion is added just as an additional clarifying language. Oh, and excuse me, back under the chair and vice chair responsibilities, I actually did add for the chair, number 5, serve as a liaison to the city's designee, and then under the vice chair, that the vice chair would succeed the chair, assuming the powers and duties of the chair if the chair vacates office prematurely, in which case a new vice chair would be elected at the next regular meeting of the commission, which is language that comes from the design commission bylaws. So
What exactly are the powers and duties of the chair?
now they're listed there.
I need to look at that.
The powers and duties of the chair.
Refresher, thank you.
It's very helpful to read these. That was helpful to me. Understand.
Because it has adapted and changed, and I think it's often the perceived powers and duties of the chair rather than what's actually written, because oftentimes the chair gets assumed a lot of duties that aren't actually.
Yes, so the duties of the chair are to preside at all meetings of the Arts Commission, to see that actions of the Arts Commission are followed in accordance with the bylaws, present the mayor and city council with recommendations on behalf of the Arts Commission, assure that the interests of the Arts Commission are addressed in a timely manner, and serve as a liaison to the city.
And serve as a liaison.
Yes. So, and then the vice chair is to assume any powers or duties of the chair in your absence or at your designation, I suppose, as requested.
When I joined, we didn't have a vice chair position, I thought. But that was new.
They usually do co-chair or a chair and vice chair.
Did I?
Yeah.
I thought that was something new that was added. Okay.
Yeah, that was in the original document.
Started, but I don't know if you needed to, if it's required. Because when we first started, it was Susie and Joanne. Susie was chair and Joanne
okay.
was vice chair.
Okay.
So do you have any questions?
Thank you, Stephanie, for sharing all of that. And thank you for all of the work you've done to streamline things and make this functioning, because we really, really want our Arts Commission to keep functioning. So I don't have any questions. Okay, I guess the question is what now? Has this been approved by our attorney? It has.
So
All right.
We need to vote.
We're voting. Let's do it. All right. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve the revisions of the bylaws? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Forever hold your peace. All right. Motion has been approved to revise the Bonney Lake Arts Commission bylaws. under Stephanie's
Wonderful.
advice. Yay! 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 Where can we all get copies of the revised version?
Once we make the approved changes, then we will get it published and we can have it for you at the next meeting, whenever that next meeting is scheduled to be.
That would be January, correct? Because we're not meeting in December.
I don't know if there's been an official motion and acceptance of canceling of the December meeting as of yet.
Oh, okay. That's just in general we don't, but I didn't realize it needed a special. Okay. We'll make
Actually,
it
there is
special.
a note in the, there is a mention of that in the bylaws that talks about when the meeting is canceled or when the meeting falls on a holiday, what the protocol is. So,
So helpful.
I mean, like, I didn't commit it on the
Should I
memory.
make a motion?
All participants must wear festive gear.
Ugly sweaters.
Do that under new business.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Moving on to C.
Canceled or rescheduled. That's the protocol.
Just love to vote on it. 2023 work plan and budget allocations. Did you add that, Stephanie?
I did.
Okay. Wow, you were on it today.
I did. So here is my hope, hoping that we have a quorum today, that we could look ahead with all of the things that we've talked about in this past year, that we could look ahead at the next year, decide on maybe 3 or 4 projects that we know for sure that we want to do next year. Instead of taking on more than might be reasonable for us to accomplish, and given the budget. And if we can decide on a couple of projects that we for sure want to do, and we can vote on a budget allocation for those projects, then we can move those forward without having to hold another meeting. So.
That.
What do you want to do next year?
So you're requesting that we revise the work plan and vote on at one meeting, so that it doesn't have to be something that we have to vote on throughout the entire year.
I think one of the biggest challenges we ran into is that we talked about something, we would make a decision, or we would talk about it at a meeting, but we wouldn't make a decision, and then we don't have a quorum for 3 or 4 months, and so that decision never gets on record, so we can't actually move it forward. So if we can make some decisions, like, you know, we typically do tunes at taps. If that's something we for sure want to do, we decide, yes, we're going to do it, and we're going to allocate, you know, $500 in supplies or $200 in supplies towards that.
So really looking at the year, planning the entire year at the beginning or at the end of the previous year, and having it all planned rather than kind of
Flying by the seat of
flying by the seat of our pants.
So for instance, I think her idea is, do you want to do the gingerbread house contest next year? If the answer is yes, who would like to champion that event? And now that person has the whole year to work on that event and can bring information forward.
Right. Rather than thinking about it in October and it's too late. Yeah.
Right.
Saying that right now, or we want to talk about that in January? What was your idea?
I think we can. The idea was just to throw it out there. I think we should in January, or by January, have a plan for 2023, including budget allocation. So, like, if we want to do the gingerbread house, obviously somebody wants to have a little bit of time to figure out how much money they might need for.
I think it might be good to like send out the work plan as a refresh to everybody to look at over the next month, and then hopefully people can come back and be like, there's one thing on there that I really want to focus on myself.
Yeah.
And have
Actually, I would kind of like everybody to just bring their own passion project to the table.
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of things on the work plan that have just been carried over from
add to
commissions
it.
past.
Yeah.
That, you know, maybe nobody's really all that excited about, and that's why we're having a hard time moving those projects forward. So
Yes.
forget the existing work plan and just dream a little bit about what you might want to accomplish next year, and then we'll go from there.
It'd be nice if people came prepared. Like,
Definitely.
Had some time to think. You know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of often a lot of again, when I came in, I didn't want to just show up with new ideas. I mean, I did. I had ideas, but I wanted to make sure I was like serving the the projects that are already happening. But I think what I'm hearing you say, Stephanie, is that that's when you don't have a project lead that's actually passionate about that project. We are just kind of going through the motions and not necessarily, as volunteers. When someone's not excited about a project, it's really hard to get it moving, and you end up with burnout, and burnout is you end up losing commissioners. So I really like your idea of not necessarily trying to find the old work plan and sending that out to everybody. I feel like all of the commissioners at least are aware, but I guess my only hesitation with that is like, for instance, what's that?
I mean, I've been on it for forever, but I'd love to see it just because there are things that like I've kind of forgotten about that we used to do and might still be on there. Or I mean, I could if it's editable, or even if it's not editable, if people just bring something they want to add if they don't find something on there. But I would love to see like it in its most current state or whatever.
Me and Stephanie and I worked on it last spring.
Yeah, there's a spreadsheet. And there's a link to it in a previous email.
You can probably find it in an old email. Okay. There's no it hasn't been redone since then.
And it is editable.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and we tried to put in everything in there, but there is stuff that, early arts commissioners used to participate in like a Washington State.
Yes. Yeah. That trainings
and all different sorts of things that I think were really helpful, but I don't personally have information on those things, but there is room to let go of old projects, is what I'm hearing you say, Stephanie, and that I feel as well. Projects that just aren't getting off the ground and people aren't wanting to take on, and I think we need to be adaptable to that and ready for new ideas. So the old work plan,
it's in an email. I'll find it.
I should have a copy of it too.
I'm sure Debbie and I have it in an old email too that we could send out.
Great. It was a link to a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
If I can't find it, I'll ask you guys just to send it. And when I send it out, I will let people know that you need to come prepared for the January meeting with ideas on what you want.
Yeah.
I'll spell it out for them. Look at this. Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I'll kind of reiterate what you guys just said.
And it's okay to be Elsa and let it go.
Yes.
Be Elsa and let it go. We just came up with a motto. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate that. Anything else on that? Okay, moving on to gingerbread house contest. I assumed that sounds like it basically is something that we have on our work plan and that people can look at for next year as I mean, it's obviously far too late this year to try to get that going. I did contact Susie Fontaine, who originally was the heart and soul behind the gingerbread house contest, to see if she wanted to be a partner of the arts and help kind of bring more people under her wing to keep it moving. But haven't heard back from her. And so at this point, it's canceled. And it's definitely not happening this year. But
lighting thing happening for Santa.
We will have the Christmas tree lighting. The Bonney Lake Elementary Viking Choir, who normally performs, is not at performance level yet. Excuse me. So Miss Fuller is bringing over some of the high school kids, and apparently some of them sang when they were in elementary school. So that should be pretty exciting to have them come over and sing "Here Comes Santa Claus" and whatever other songs. Kind of left the music agenda up to her. So my guess is there's probably going to be one or two very choral, strong songs, and then a couple of Christmas Carol type songs.
Fantastic.
So,
Ask like how much of our budget is left even if we did do a like what would be left after that
For 2022?
this year?
excuse me. I think you have about 3,000
Left
in professional services, not in supplies.
by any supplies.
There's a little bit of money left in supplies, but not a lot.
I was just curious if like this is just me dreaming, but like if we bought like gingerbread kits and handed them out to the kids at that event instead of having the contest, like we encouraged families to go home and make art with their kids. I don't know. I'm just not saying we should, but like, is there a way to take a spin on this as an art commission and not necessarily have the contest, but like provide an opportunity for kids in art?
We don't have anything else set up for the rest of the year that we could spend that I can think of.
Yeah.
So I would have to check on, excuse me, on how we can do it, because just to say, here's a gingerbread house could be considered a gift of funds.
Okay.
And so we're not allowed to do that. So there has to somehow be some sort of marketing piece or something like that, I believe, in order to be able to do that.
Could it be like, could we connect with the library and maybe they'd want to have an event and we could support it? I don't know. I'm just curious if we could somehow like make it an event instead. That would work.
I feel like when is the gingerbread, where has it been held and what, like, has it been held in conjunction with the tree lighting? Is that what?
Yeah,
we
that's
use
what I
the room at the fire station, and it's held during the same night as the tree lighting and the caroling and the.
I think.
Santa.
I mean, I feel like it could still be possible if we're going to talk about an event or about sponsoring an event or even doing kits or something. To do the gingerbread contest is really just about making the flyer and getting it out there, and then showing up on the day of, right?
Yeah,
pretty close though, like 2 weeks.
I mean it's
3
a lot.
Saturdays.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody's really doing gingerbread houses until after Thanksgiving anyway.
I mean, you could change the timeline and just advertise about it then. I mean, you could do that.
Are you suggesting? Do you want to take this on, Stephanie?
I don't know. You don't have to. I was just trying to think of a way to keep gingerbread houses alive at the event without having to do the work, but still use our money for something for the community.
Susie did a lot, so she designed the awards. We have to get the prizes. We have to get the advertising out there, and you have to be there all afternoon picking up gingerbread houses, and then be there all afternoon the next day while people take them home. It's a little entailed.
I did do it virtually one time during COVID. I'm not saying necessarily that we have to do it the traditional way. I was just trying to find a way to like still connect that with the Arts Commission to the event. And then wait until next year to figure out for sure what we want to do.
It sounds like if we don't have one person who really wants to take it on, and I know Jennifer Turner mentioned wanting to take it on.
She is here.
Jennifer, what were your thoughts on that? You don't mind sharing?
I mean, I could. I was hoping to have a little bit more time because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I think it's just been hard with not being able to have meetings, and yeah, I guess I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I mean, I can design communication pieces. What is the date of the tree lighting?
Tree lighting is on December 3rd.
I don't know how this happened, but Gary Lee years
17
ago
days.
bought a ton of like gingerbread houses from Ben Franklin for like $2 a piece or something. I don't know if you remember this, Debbie. And then we gave them out.
We have one.
Okay, yeah. I don't know how that happened, but he used Arts Commission funds and we gave out these gingerbread houses. So I don't know. I feel like there's a way we could make this happen if we wanted to. Not that we have to, but like, how did he do it? Do you remember that?
Because there was some sort of marketing piece
Yeah.
that went with it.
Sure.
So it was like an educational piece. So it wasn't just a straight gift of funds.
Mm,
And also, because it was a sale, then there was a donation from Ben Franklin for the above part. So even though
Yeah.
the city was only giving out a $2.50 plastic gingerbread house, it was really a $15 to $17 item that was mainly donated by Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
I personally am not able to be involved. Jennifer and Melissa, do you guys want to get together and try to make this happen? Otherwise, we
One
can.
thing I'm interested
17
in doing,
days.
if I were to be involved, is just figuring out where do we buy these things and how do we get them there. Like, that would be the extent that I could help with it.
Not doing a traditional.
And I would show up for the
contest.
event, you know, but like, and I would, if we actually had the traditional one, I would work at school to make it happen for my students. And we
What if the event-
usually,
Like instead of,
So-
what is it before and after? I mean, I don't have any context. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've never
haven't
been there. Okay.
participated either, so I don't really understand. But
Yeah.
if they come on that day with their kit,
yeah.
and the event is that evening, and we have it judged, and they
Yeah, so what
come
used to
home, like
happen
where's the
is
before
we
and
had
after?
like between like, I want to say like 3:30 to 5:30 or something on Friday. They would enter for a set time on Saturday, like 10 to 12. And then right at 12, they would like do the judging. And then everyone would come back for the evening event, and they would leave the room open. People could go through and look at all of the gingerbread houses. And then we asked people to take them with them at the end of that, but not everybody would come back. So then we'd have to decide, are we throwing these out or are we going to hold on to them? And then the winning one used to come and get displayed here or somewhere here.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it used to be like.
You also have the prizes.
And then there's prizes.
Like you had those were donated
Yes.
by the Kiwanis or something like that. So you'd also have to figure that part out.
That would be where the budget money would need to go, is towards prizes.
I think it's okay
The Lions
to,
Club, I think, donated.
to do this next year. I think that's totally makes sense. I was just trying to figure out if there was a way to like promote making art with the community and we have money to spend. I don't know.
I suggest not trying to do the traditional gingerbread house contest like we've done in the past because it really, I don't think there's enough time. If the lighting is on December 3rd, it's a lot of work getting the information out to the public and getting the prize money, making sure there's awards, talking to the fire station about using the room. But I suggest maybe Melissa and Jennifer just chat about cooperating with the library and figuring out a way to hand out gingerbread houses. I think would be a really fun way to kind of like remind people that the Arts Commission's still interested. And next year, we're going to do a contest. That's my suggestion.
So if we make that an education, some sort of an educational piece to go along with it, then that becomes allowed as a gift.
Like we could have a flyer that says, next year, we're going to have our contest. Have fun.
Possibly.
Yeah. What sort of situation, I guess, is the question. Like, I'm kind of confused
I
about
mean,
what.
I'm thinking about someone who manages a
Yeah.
budget with
Right.
large amounts of
Yeah.
of government funds. I think if they're holding an educational event like Decorate Together,
Yeah.
that would be very different because we're providing the supplies. We wouldn't be giving it as a gift. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think we'd have to do short notice.
Yeah. Cool. In the future, maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
About like having not just a contest, but like
Yeah.
let's do it
Yeah.
together.
That'd be
so
really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that idea too.
I loved the gingerbread house contest.
And
People got so creative. We had Belgian mansions, we had haunted houses, we had
like 2 days before it's due. So it's like, you know, like
we had an entire working the entire public works put on one, and it was a working sewer system that they made with liquid chocolate. We had roller coasters, we had hobbit houses. People get so creative, and I want to see it keep going. I just personally can't. I would be interested in taking it, helping with it next year.
I worry about the loss of momentum because this is now
Yeah.
3 years in a row that we're not doing.
we had the virtual and then nothing last year and then nothing.
could do a virtual one again this year as the ball starts rolling.
And you could show pictures at the event. They had like a screen.
Or, well, not even show pictures at the event, but you could have an online. Leavenworth gave me a cold. You could have a virtual event like via Facebook where people submit their entries and then we put them up in a folder on a certain day and then people go in and vote for their favorite one.
Just take out the prizes, take out any sort of contest element, but just have it be a fun community event. Yeah.
I think though that
You get bragging rights.
it's easier to do virtual, but it's a lot of work too.
So
you
it's
have
a lot of
Yeah.
work. Yes.
grab all the images and collect them and put them together. And it's just a different kind of energy and time, you know. So depending on who would want to do that,
Well, I think you'd have more time for virtual because you wouldn't have to have everything done by the 3rd.
you could advertise at the lighting event if you like felt called to.
Jennifer, I'm happy to talk to you on our own as well and just show you some pictures of what we've done in the past. And do you have a Bonney Lake Arts Commission Facebook group? Have you been invited to that?
No.
Let me hop on there because there's pictures on there of all the work we've done, and you can kind of scroll through and see some of the contests in the past and just get, not for this year, obviously, but for, just
Okay.
a little bit of what we've done. And it is so fun. I love seeing people's creativity, and I feel like it really brought us together as a community, and I would hate to see it disappear entirely. So it's hard to do without Susie. Susie was the queen of Christmas. She made it the champion. So, anyways, I'm glad you brought that up. Appreciate everybody's comments.
And the first place from 2019, which is what, 3 years ago now, is still out in the display case.
No, that's so gross.
I would not recommend eating any of the edible stuff on it, but hey.
I say Glory takes it to Jennifer and shows her in person.
Yeah.
And we don't want to back.
I'll send you a photo, Jennifer. But
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, David, because I think we need to chuck that thing and put something new in there because you kind of a relic of the past and a relic of preservatives.
It could be the prize. I mean, if we did a virtual, no, you misunderstood or I misspoke. Here's the prize for your. The prize would be to be able to put your winning one on display, like instead of
You would replace it.
gift cards.
Most people are really, really attached to them and they want to take them home and they don't want them to be on, out of their hands. Most people really want to keep them in their houses. So that's just what we've experienced in the past. But, people do stained glass window. They have lights and it's so much fun. But yes, that whole case has a lot of really cool relics in there, and that was one relic that I think needs to be changed out. Okay, so in conclusion, Gingerbread House Contest is still, it sounds like there's a lot of interest in keeping this going for 2023 and maybe rethinking how we do it and pushing harder throughout the year to remind the public that this is something that the Arts Commission is still doing. I think we can remind the public all year about it. It doesn't have to be something we spring on them.
Especially if we get ahead of it. Cute, like graphics that advertise. And then, I mean, thinking about like as we go, love to try to decorate. Perhaps that's part of it. You know, is we might come in. Have the ability to think pastoral, but also want something to do with
The library is a great
like in
facility.
Space, I doubt they'll let us do candy and frosting and stuff in there because it's
Senior center.
at the library.
No, I'm saying senior center would be your best option.
Yeah, that's a good one. Or we could do it at the high school
I was thinking
and
building
get the
use.
ASB involved or
do
whatever.
like a building use form.
Because you could use that whole cafeteria area, which is easy. Just like they had this like huge, those ice machine things out on like Sprinker. It looks like that. It's just like and just cleans everything.
That'd be good. Wasn't available.
Yeah.
And one thing that we did in the past too was different teams from the city. Like I said, we had the public works team. So these are all adults, and they came up with some really creative. They would work on it at work. So they would I think they did, or I don't know how exactly they did it, but businesses as a team, can jump in, and there's a lot of really fun ways to ramp up the competition, because it's not about just kids. This is about families, I think, is kind of the main.
We had like team, individual, and then age difference.
It was really fun to see families come together and work together, and build something.
So do we have a champion for this event for 2023?
Why don't you wait till January?
I'll figure it out in January.
Perfect. Yep. Okay. Just asking the question. Make sure that if nobody's designated, then we all talk about it. Nobody.
I'll think about it.
The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, we can't let this go. It was so fun.
You can do it.
We did a fire station with a dragon one year, breathing fire, and the firefighters were fighting the dragon with the hose, with not ganache. What's that? Fondant. We made a fondant dragon. But as a commissioner, I couldn't vote. I obviously was a participant. We did the Great Wall of China one year with Lego guys on the Great Wall of China building. We had a lot of fun. Okay. Moving on, we're going to new business. I suggest we vote on the December meeting. Is there any other new business anybody wants to bring up?
Just Caitlin and I were talking about Caitlin's project with you at the Prairie Ridge Community Center?
Yeah.
So she wanted more details about that. Are you there, Caitlin?
Yes.
Did you have some questions for Stephanie or anything about that?
I remember texting, I think, last week about it, and then I never heard back on some designs. Because I'm unable right now to make up models for that. Was this event going to be run through the Arts Commission, or is this separate?
Well, it's a separate event, but the Arts Commission could definitely be a part of it, or even take on. The problem is it's the 11th, and so again, it's a short timeline. We did text back and forth about the designs. What were you wanting to know?
I talked to my advisor and I provided your information and stuff, and she emailed you and me earlier this week. I'm not sure if you saw that. Just about reaching out.
Night or sometime yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, with a link for the group to sign up. So the way I understand it, so just so you guys are all aware, I'm helping to coordinate the Prairie Ridge Holiday Party, which is a community outreach event to bring the community together. They do Santa gifts for the kids. It's an underserved neighborhood in our community. So one of the main pieces of this event is a craft. The idea is to keep it multicultural. It's not a Christmas party, it's a holiday party. It me with a couple of ideas, all centered around light. So, including, well, just the different holiday volunteers. Oh, to actually make their crafts. It's December 11th from 2 to 4. It's a Sunday afternoon. In addition,
We're going to sign up, right, Caitlin?
yeah, so I sent Deja the information for the signups, and she was going to distribute that through the Google Classroom. If you all are interested in serving at that event to help with crafts, or one of the other things that we were hoping to do is be able to provide, they usually do a Santa shop where the kids purchase little trinkety things for their parents and other loved ones for Christmas, but they're usually like, if you've those, you know, they're, so the idea was to actually create something handmade that could be done, you know, really quickly, fast dry, you know, but something really nice that a family would enjoy having. Have a couple of ideas about like using wood blanks and, you know, walking them through some sort of line art on the front, or like some thumbprint owls, or like just, I don't know, something like that that's really simple for kids to do, but that would create a gift. And then that gift gets wrapped while they're there at the event, and they take it home and put it under the tree for their parents.
Do you need someone to help lead that?
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I work 13-hour shifts on Sundays. But I think my sons might be interested in doing work. They used to help me at Prairie Ridge Center. But you want to lead to lead that arts.
I think so. The craft, you know, Caitlin, are you going to be at the event, or are you just?
I'm able to be at the event. Yeah. I would have to leave there go there straight from work, pretty much. It looks like for the email that you sent, you said that you sent a link for kids to sign up. I don't think that I got that response to the email. I think you might have just responded to my advisor, Miss Barry.
Okay.
Yeah. But the crafts that I sent out last week, I wasn't sure if you were going to continue with those or if you were looking at something else.
I like the. We got to wrap up
our December meeting before.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I want to ask about times.
Debbie about it, like,
Okay.
Like today, but that's just because I tend to have tons of stuff the last week of the month. I just have found, like with my kids, everything in elementary is like on the last week of every month. So I have a lot of conflicts with them always having dates, and I have 2 elementary schools that we like are always handling because they're at different.
The first of the year, B commissions. Everything's now going to be wrapped into the planning commission, so that does leave the third Wednesday open. That's up to David though, because he's the staff person. If she's able to make the third Wednesday instead, and then it has to be, I think, changed in the bylaws.
That was just
the fourth
my
to the
idea
third.
because I feel like we could like have a lot of conflicts, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because I work in schools I attend to, but
Doesn't make any
it's
difference
what
to me.
works for everybody better. We've just been having a hard time getting people coming, so it may or may not make a difference if we moved it. I don't know with how many people show up.
I should be able to make third Wednesdays.
Okay. Can we make that addition to the bylaw revision?
You need to make a motion to make
this.
that.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'll motion to change our meetings. or change our bylaws to reflect a new meeting date of the third Wednesday of every month, just beginning in January.
Would you like to second that?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I do. Any opposed?
Aye.
You guys all heard that?
Yeah, sometimes your audio cuts in and out. Jennifer put a chat like in the messages like an hour ago. But if you're not speaking directly into the mic, you guys kind of like blip out. I heard that part, but a lot of the earlier stuff kind of just.
Okay, so we're voting to change the bylaws to reflect moving our Arts Commission meeting to the third Wednesday of the month. Do you approve that?
Yes.
Anybody opposed to that? All right. Motion has been approved to change the Arts Commission meeting to the third Wednesday of every month. And we would also would someone be able to make a motion to approve canceling our December meeting?
I move cancel our December meeting.
All in favor of canceling the December meeting of 2022?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody?
Aye.
Okay, motion has been approved to cancel the December meeting of 2022. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you all in January on the 18th.
Motion to adjourn, though.
Motion to adjourn.
I move to motion to adjourn. I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:14.
Thank you. Motion has been approved to adjourn our meeting at 7:14 on November 16th. Thank you, everybody. Really, really appreciate it.
Awesome. Yay.
Good night, Caitlin. Good night, Jen. I love it. A motion to move. I move the motion